Ahmed al-Zahid built his empire on power and fear, but on his wedding night, his beautiful bride Ila Kapoor vanished, leaving behind only a torn veil and a trail of secrets that would burn Dubai's glittering world to ashes. Dubai shimmered like liquid gold under the desert sky that night, where luxury met sin and secrets hid behind the glow of chandeliers. The Palm Jumeirah resort was wrapped in a spectacle of wealth, silver fountains, imported roses, and a guest list glittering with Dubai's elite. Cameras flashed, champagne overflowed, and laughter echoed like music against marble walls. At the center of it all stood Ahmed al-Zahid, a 35-year-old millionaire nightclub owner whose name carried power, money, and control. He was the kind of man people either feared or envied, clean-cut in a white tuxedo, eyes sharp with dominance, the perfect image of a self-made king. Beside him, his new bride, Ila Kapoor, looked like a dream sculpted out of gold and silence. Her long, dark hair shimmered under the chandelier, her golden lehenga catching the fire of 1,000 candles. To the crowd, she was elegance personified, an Indian beauty marrying into Dubai's high society. But beneath the flawless makeup and soft smile was a woman whose heartbeat trembled between love and survival. Ila wasn't just marrying a man that night. She was marrying into a fortress built on secrets. Guests called it a fairy tale, but every fairy tale has a shadow. Ahmed's mother watched Ila with cold suspicion, her eyes tracing every movement, her whispers venomous among the gossiping elite. She didn't believe Ila's background story. No family photos, no old friends, no clear history before Dubai. Rumors had already begun swirling through the city's whispers that the bride was not who she claimed to be. Yet, under the bright lights, Ila played her part flawlessly, her nervous smile never fading. As fireworks burst over the Persian Gulf and applause filled the air, the perfect wedding was sealed not with love, but with the quiet beginning of a nightmare that would soon drown the city in scandal. Before Dubai's skyline lit up her dreams, Ila Kapoor's life began in the crowded lanes of Mumbai, where every day was a struggle between survival and hope. Her father, once a small-time gold trader, died leaving behind mountains of debt and a broken family. With her mother bedridden and bills piling up, Ila became the silent provider, working any job she could find, waitress by day, call center voice by night, and sometimes a hostess in shady lounges that promised tips big enough to buy another day of survival. She hated those nights, but they paid enough to keep her family breathing. When an old friend mentioned Dubai, the city of gold, where money flowed faster than monsoon rain, Ila saw her escape. She arrived with fake confidence, a borrowed smile, and an empty wallet, landing a job at one of Dubai's upscale nightclubs, a place dripping in excess and danger. There, she learned how the powerful moved, how they spoke, how they lied, and how charm could be traded like currency. It was in that world that she first crossed paths with Ahmed al-Zahid, though he didn't notice her then, just another face in the crowd of entertainers he owned. Ila studied him quietly, his arrogance, his loneliness, his obsession with control. Slowly, she built a new version of herself, ditching her old name from employment records, forging documents, and blending into the city's luxury circuit as an event planner. Every lie became a step closer to security. She crafted perfection so precisely that even Ahmed's watchful eyes couldn't see the cracks. But fate wasn't kind. In her climb to freedom, Ila met Rafiq, a man who saw the real her beneath the facade. He became both her weakness and her only truth, the piece of her past that would soon turn her new life into a dangerous game of love and betrayal. Rafiq Khan was the kind of man who thrived in the shadows. A former security manager at Ahmed's nightclub empire who knew every dirty secret behind the neon lights and champagne smiles. He was street smart, dangerous, and deeply in love with Ila Kapoor long before she became Mrs. Al-Zahid. Their connection began in silence, shared cigarettes behind the club, whispered dreams of escaping the city's corruption, and plans that sounded like freedom. But love in Dubai's underworld was a dangerous currency, and Rafiq soon stumbled upon something he was never meant to see. Encrypted files, hidden accounts, and secret footage showing Ahmed's business tied to human trafficking routes stretching from Mumbai to Muscat. The man Ila was about to marry wasn't just a nightclub mogul. He was a predator disguised as royalty. Rafiq, desperate to save Ila from marrying into that darkness, made a reckless choice. He threatened Ahmed anonymously, demanding a payoff in exchange for silence. But Ahmed didn't get to the top by being careless. 2 days after the blackmail, Rafiq disappeared without a trace. His phone went dead, his apartment emptied, his name erased from every system he ever appeared in. Ila waited, terrified, until a plain envelope arrived at her apartment. Inside was a single photograph. Rafiq's lifeless body, half buried in the desert sand, his wristwatch glinting under the sun. No note, no explanation, just a silent message that screamed louder than words. Ila's world collapsed. The man she loved was gone, and the man she was about to marry might have killed him. But she couldn't run. She was too deep in Ahmed's world now. So she made a choice, to marry him, not out of love, but to uncover the truth about Rafiq's death, even if it meant sleeping next to the devil himself. The night of the wedding glittered with false promises, the kind that could blind anyone who didn't look closely enough. The ballroom still smelled of roses and expensive perfume when Ila walked into the penthouse suite, her golden bridal gown brushing against marble floors that reflected the glow of 1,000 candles. The city stretched beneath her like a living jewel, but she felt nothing, just a cold, steady fear that crawled up her spine. Ahmed was already there, lounging with a glass of champagne in his hand, his expression unreadable. Hours earlier, he had been the charming groom, all smiles for the cameras, but now his silence pressed on her like a storm about to break. His phone kept lighting up on the bedside table with messages from an unknown number, each ping slicing the quiet room. He checked the screen once, then again, his face tightening with every new image. What appeared on that phone would shatter the illusion forever. Photos of Ila's past life as a nightclub hostess, snapshots of her laughing with Rafiq, even a grainy clip of her entering Ahmed's own club years before they met. The truth he saw was betrayal. The woman he thought he owned had outsmarted him, and his ego couldn't handle it. The room filled with tension thick enough to choke on. Ila tried to stay calm, but she knew that look in his eyes, the look of a man whose pride was bleeding. Hours passed. Muffled sounds echoed through the penthouse, and the cameras in the hallway mysteriously went offline. When the sun rose over Dubai, the suite was silent. Ila was gone. No blood, no struggle, just a single torn veil caught in the wind near the pool and a faint trail of champagne leading to the balcony. The city woke up celebrating a fairy tale, unaware that the bride had vanished into a mystery that would stain Dubai's glittering skyline forever. The morning after the wedding, Dubai's tabloids exploded with headlines of the mysterious disappearance of newlywed bride Ila Kapoor, turning what had been the city's grandest celebration into a media circus. Reporters camped outside Ahmed al-Zahid's mansion while social media burned with theories, some calling it a runaway bride scandal, others whispering of a murder cover-up. Ahmed, polished and calm before the cameras, claimed Ila had emotional problems and fled the suite in a breakdown, leaving behind her jewelry and phone. But the police weren't buying the performance. Detectives from Dubai's Criminal Investigation Department combed through the penthouse, finding small details that shattered his story: a smashed phone hidden under the bed, traces of Ila's perfume near the balcony edge, and faint blood smears on the marble floor, too faint to notice at first glance, but too suspicious to ignore. Security cameras around the suite had been switched off at 11:48 p.m., precisely when witnesses reported hearing raised voices. The staff described Ahmed as unusually calm after the argument, requesting his car at midnight, only to cancel it 10 minutes later. Then came the discovery that changed everything: a USB drive found in Ahmed's office drawer containing clips of his nightclub's underground dealings, including footage of women being trafficked through back rooms. Forensic experts confirmed Ila's fingerprints on the drive, suggesting she had taken it as leverage or insurance. The evidence painted a chilling picture. Ila might have uncovered Ahmed's criminal network and vanished to expose him, or she'd been silenced before she could. The media frenzy grew uncontrollable, Dubai's elite distancing themselves from Ahmed as the investigation deepened. Yet, despite days of searching, there was no sign of Ila's body, no confirmed sightings, nothing but fragments of a story too dark for daylight. The fairy tale bride had become a ghost, and every clue seemed to whisper the same question. Was she dead, or had she outsmarted everyone? 3 weeks after Ila Kapoor's disappearance, the desert finally gave up a secret. An abandoned car found smoldering on the outskirts of Sharjah. Its metal frame melted, the air thick with the scent of gasoline and burnt flesh. Inside, investigators discovered a woman's remains charred beyond recognition, a faint glimmer of jewelry fused to bone. DNA analysis confirmed what the world had been waiting to hear. It was Ila. The city gasped, the headlines screamed, and Ahmed al-Zahid was taken into custody as the prime suspect. Yet he didn't flinch. He smiled through the flashing cameras, insisting he was being framed, that his enemies wanted his empire destroyed. The police built their case on motive and opportunity, but something didn't add up. The medical examiner quietly noted inconsistencies in the DNA samples, too clean, too perfectly preserved considering the heat of the fire. Then, a week into the investigation, a deeper discovery unraveled everything. The woman in the car wasn't Ila Kapoor. The body belonged to a missing Eastern European woman trafficked through Ahmed's own business months earlier. The DNA evidence had been manipulated using samples from Ila's old apartment, a digital ghost trail meant to close her case forever. Before the police could react, new CCTV footage surfaced from the port of Muscat. Oman, grainy but clear enough to see a woman with Ila's features boarding a ferry under a different name, her face hidden under a shawl, a faint scar visible on her hand. She was alive. The same week, an encrypted email was automatically sent to multiple media outlets, attaching account ledgers, offshore transactions, and hidden recordings exposing Ahmed's criminal network. Within days, his empire collapsed under the weight of evidence. Ila hadn't vanished as a victim. She had vanished as an executioner, pulling the final thread that destroyed the man who once thought he owned her. Ahmed al-Zahid's empire fell like a house of glass struck by a storm, shattering into pieces too sharp to rebuild. His arrest became international news, his face splashed across every screen that once glorified his wealth. The courtroom was packed with reporters as prosecutors unveiled the evidence Ila had unleashed: bank transfers, shell companies, trafficking routes, and voice memos where Ahmed bragged about owning people. Every word was a nail in his coffin. But what haunted everyone wasn't just his crimes. It was the mystery of the woman who had brought him down. Ila Kapoor, the missing bride turned avenger, had vanished from every radar. Interpol issued alerts across borders, but her trail went cold after Oman. Rumors spread like wildfire. Some said she had undergone surgery to change her face. Others claimed she was hiding under diplomatic protection in Europe. Months later, a quiet ripple stirred in the humanitarian world. A new charity foundation emerged in Zurich called the Trafficking Project, dedicated to rescuing and rehabilitating trafficked women from the Gulf. Its anonymous founder was listed only by the initials IK, and the bank account funding it traced back to the same offshore vaults once owned by Ahmed al-Zahid. The irony was poetic. Ila had stolen the devil's fortune and turned it into redemption. Her vengeance wasn't loud. It was strategic, permanent, and just. Ahmed rotted behind bars, obsessing over finding her, convinced she was still watching him. Some nights he claimed she sent him letters with no return address. Letters that said nothing but the word justice. Whether those letters were real or born from a guilty mind, no one knew. In Dubai, the legend of the vanished bride grew into urban folklore, a story whispered in luxury circles, of a woman who walked through fire and disappeared into freedom, leaving behind a single message carved into history. Some victims don't die. They rise and make their monsters disappear.